Well, it's been a while since we've done a recording for the back of the 135 Footy podcast, but it's 2021 and it's another year, another season's upon us. So welcome back to all our listeners, anyone that's listening in. Just glad you could join us. We've got some of the boys back, some of the old school boys back. Last year was pretty tough, I guess, with COVID coming up and that. So, we were kind of thrown off, but it's good to have these loyal boys back. Got all the way from Ranui, Sam. What's up,
Kia ora.
boss?
Maro lava pala. Glory,
Good to have-
glory.
Hey, hey. Also got those Stace coming in from the south side. What's up, man?
Hey, what's up, man? Good to be back on this NRL podcast. Die-hard Warriors fan. I'll say something that you don't normally hear from Warriors fans, but this is our year.
Oh, this feels like deja vu, eh, boys? You know, I hear that so much, but sure, I've never heard that one before. And it's also Royston. What's up, man? Welcome back.
What's up, guys? Ready again for a better year?
You know, like I'm gonna start with you because you, Danny, Sam, you were on the original one with Cam Bernard, and you said it was your year as well. You started off well, and then you let the eel slip through the hands.
Yes.
What
Slippery snake.
what happened, man? What happened?
We're strong enough. Fell off at the end. But not this year. Not this year. This is our year.
Oh, I feel like this is a deja vu again. I don't know what's happening here, boys. Before we go to some big news that came out today. A quick review of what you thought of your team last season. Who was the best player and who was the letdown, and what are you carrying over to this year? I'm going to cross over to you, Sam.
Like for my team in particular.
Yeah.
I kind of thought, oh flip, that's a tough one. I think the letdown was for us as a team. I think it was the injuries. They kind of stuffed it up for us. Like at the beginning of the year, the big signing of Latrell Mitchell, and everybody was on that. The big talk about having Latrell in there and how he wasn't going to be a good fullback. I just think he was just getting into slowly getting into his own game and his own sort of style of play as a fullback, and then obviously he got injured, and then starting all over again with a new fullback. I think that kind of was a bit of a setback for the Bunnies last year. But outstanding, I just thought Jaden Su'a was outstanding for our team. I think he finally got sort of into the groove, and he kind of found his own style of play, and he was able to sort of let himself go towards the end of the season. But I'm looking forward to seeing more of him this year.
Nice. The cool thing is that this time last year, the same when we had our first inaugural Back of the 135 Footy podcast, that was the name that you brought up, Eels. Remember, you said keep an eye out for this guy, and we kind of went, oh, okay. And then for him to break through, we're like, oh, it's pretty good because we actually talked about it, and he turned up for your team. I don't want to badmouth your team, but good on you, man. Good on you.
No, thanks, Broncos, for giving him up.
What about you, Stace? The fortunes of the Warriors.
Yeah, wouldn't be as happy as Sammy with how his team went. Sort of mixed emotions. I remember sort of at the end of 2019, the Warriors, they finished 13th, and 24 of their top 25 players had been signed through to 2020. So it looked like it was going to be more of the same. And I remember at the start of the season, they were languishing close to the bottom again. And I remember when I came on the podcast, I remember thinking, shucks, maybe we might need an overhaul of the roster. But what they did was they got rid of Kearney, And I know you guys touched on Kearney earlier, how he was able to hold his job. And once they got rid of him and they got rid of they got Todd Payton in there, almost every single player improved. And you saw that if they could have maybe got rid of Kearney earlier, the Warriors had the potential to maybe finish in the top 8. So I feel a lot more optimistic now that the squad at least is good enough. And if they can get better coaching, which is now Nathan Brown's job, that they could really make some strides forward. So mixed bag, because I thought the Warriors had a top 8 roster on paper. Just some poor coaching early on from Kearney, who I was never a fan of, to be fair, sort of let them down. But I thought Tohu Harris, he was probably our standout player. He was amazing on the edge, and then they'd bring him into the middle, sort of in that second half there, and bring Jack Murchie on, who would play on the edge. And he was a real workhorse and a real leader through the middle and playing on the edge. So I thought that forward leadership he provided was critical for the Warriors' success. And he's quite a veteran now, and he's been through the Storms system there where they've had a lot of success, and he was able to translate that through and hopefully change some of the culture in the Warriors, which augurs well for 2021, I think. So I've got big high hopes for the Warriors this year at least.
Nice, man. Royston, the Eels. I know, you came out swinging. You did come out swinging. What was the highlight for you, and who do you think could have done better for your team?
The highlight for our team would have to be Clint Goffinson. I think he was one of the top 5 for meters gained and player of the year for the NRL. So we knew he was going to be good, but we didn't expect him to be that good. So he gets my vote for best player of that year. Maybe the low light would have to go to maybe Mitchell Moses. He started off all good, and then a few injuries throughout the season, and then took too long to get back into shape. Really, and didn't have enough fire. He probably didn't kick off fast enough. Yeah.
Oh, Mitchell Moses, eh? He's walking around Sydney somewhere with a sore back at the moment because Royston just gave him the boot. Before we move on to this season, it's only like 24 hours away. Big news coming this afternoon. The GOAT. I think he's the GOAT. Being a Queenslander myself. Cameron Smith retired today. Boys, when it comes to the GOAT argument, is he the greatest rugby league player of all time? Does he ever take Wally Lewis, Andrew Johns, Jonathan Thurston? I see a couple of New South Wales jerseys underneath their shirts at the moment. So I don't think I'm gonna get. I think I'm gonna get a bit of kickback for this one. Starting with you, Stace. Is he the GOAT?
Oh, yeah, that's a really good question, eh? It can be hard to compare eras and compare different positions and all the rest of it, so it's not always that straightforward. But if you're asking me if he is the GOAT, I'm going to say, yeah, I think he is. When you look at his achievements, his longevity in the game, and it's not that obvious as well, the things he does. He just does the little things really, really well. So I remember they were talking that Benji Marshall might retire, and if they were to do sort of a highlights package of his career, you'd see a whole lot of flick passes and all these amazing things. But if you do a highlights career package of Cameron Smith, you're just going to see, a lot of dummy half passes right on the guy's chest, just doing the basics really well. But he's won more games than anyone. He's made more finals appearances, most origins. And when you consider his eliteness for the longest period of time, I think he's the GOAT. I've did this analogy before where if you compare him to other sports, like Tom Brady is the GOAT of NFL, and just he outlasted a lot of people, and he was great for the longest time. He had the most Super Bowl rings and the most wins and all these other categories. And Cameron Smith, if you look at his trophy cabinet and all his achievements, he's got something that no one else can really match. And I also think, like, if I look at rugby, McCaw's got the most the most tests and the most test wins and 2 World Cups as captain. There's a similar similar sort of trophy cabinet and all the rest of it. So yeah, if you use those analogies, I think he is the GOAT in my eyes anyway.
Nice, man. Sam,
Yeah,
what's your calls?
I actually think it's a tough one for me. I've never been a fan of Cameron Smith, um, and I'm not much of a comparing codes, but I think to ask an Australian if Richie McCaw was a goat, to us, yeah, he was. But to an Australian, they'll call him a cheat. Really good at talking to the referee, being an extra referee, thinking he knows all the rules. That's how I look at Cameron Smith.
Yep.
I mean, I have a lot of respect for him as a player, and because he's done it, and I'm still sitting in at home. But I, yeah, I'm a New South Wales fan, and I've never liked him. And I don't know. It's a tough one. I don't know. Like I guess a lot of people, would call him the GOAT, but I can't. I still think, even though Thurston is a Queenslander, I still think Thurston as a player, even at different positions, was a lot better than Cameron Smith. Shucks, I don't know if that was right, but yeah, that's how I feel.
Oh, nice. No, everyone. I guess that's that was a pretty good analogy you used. How Australians look at Richie McCaw and how they would look at our players because they've got their own views as well. Royston, what about you, bro? Where do you put Cameron Smith in the goat in the goat conversation?
All I want to say is it's about time. Get out of here. Nah, he's just too good. But to have him the GOAT, that's a tough one. How do you judge being the GOAT though? Do you judge by how many daily M's, how many proven whatever medals or super boots or how do they judge that? Do they go by how many tackles, careers, or is it down to how many plays, amazing plays to win matches? But I think he's up there, but I think he's got a big battle with Thurston in my mind, even though I don't like them both. But Thurston will probably be up there somewhere. I'll probably tip Thurston though, in my opinion.
I'm quite shocked because all you boys are New South Wales boys. I thought you would have been between Cameron Smith and Joey Johns because if you listen to my older brother, he despises Cameron Smith. He takes every chance he can get to slander him. I'll say that. I'll say that out loud. But in saying that, where's Joey Johns then? Because I thought as New South Wales loyalists, loyal guys, I thought he would have been on par with him.
Yeah, I don't
Stace.
know.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, he is to me. To me, like Thurston is down the ladder. It's a 2-horse race between Johns and Cameron Smith. But I just put Cameron Smith ahead for the longevity factor. Like Joey was good in his heyday, but it was sort of a shorter career, not through some issues of his own. He had career-threatening injuries, but just to be elite for almost 2 decades. That's quite an achievement, and just for that reason, I put him ahead. I like how he could control the tempo of a game because he wasn't the fastest, he wasn't the strongest, and all the rest of it. But his ability to control the tempo from dummy half, and when you consider that the hooker touches the ball more than anyone, so he's probably had the most influence on a game than we've ever seen. No one's influenced the game more than him, I think, in my opinion, and that holds a lot of weight as well. And one of the things why I don't like these GOAT arguments is because sometimes you have to sort of put down another player to make your point, and I'm going to do that for Thurston. If you consider that defence is 50% of the game, Thurston, for all his greatness, and he is great, his defence wasn't the best, and he would always be sort of high up in the missed tackles and those types of stats. Whereas at least with Thurston, with Joey and Cameron Smith, they were good on both sides of the ball, and to me that sways it a little bit in their favour. So I'm giving it to Cameron Smith on the longevity just over Joey, who was also an outstanding player.
What about you, Sammy?
Yeah. Oh, I've just. Yeah, no, I'm just, to be honest, I'm just happy to see him go.
Yeah,
Like
me
the
too.
same way I was happy when Billy Slater left, and to see the three leave Queensland, I was just super happy. But no, I definitely agree with Stacey. Like in regards to he's been in there for quite some time and can't see anybody else doing it like he did. But
Right.
I just think I've just never been a fan of his. Sorry, but yeah.
Yeah, I think also for me as a New South Wales guy and someone who doesn't really support Melbourne, it was hard for me to pick him as the GOAT. But if you separate the emotion and just look at what he's achieved and all the rest of it, and just sort of take, the fact that I can't stand him as a player out of it,
Mm,
then, it's hard to argue against his accomplishments, to be fair.
yeah. 'Cause I was like that with Billy Slater. Like my son would ask me, who was a good fullback, and yeah, Billy Slater. But I'll just say it quietly, like,
Mm. Yeah, I think also it's testament to Smith and also the Melbourne Storm sort of system that, Billy Slater's probably one of the best fullback we've ever seen. And when he retired, you think, oh, well, the Storm's going to go down. But Smith was still there and Cronk was still there. And they were still able to maintain a high standard. And even when Cronk left, you think, oh, well, that should be the end of the Storm. That's two of the big three gone. But Smith was still there and he was able to pull the strings. And he was the most influential, in my opinion, of those three in that big three. So I think as long as he was there, they were still always going to be good.
Just before we move on, did you manage to catch the unveiling of the statues outside Melbourne Park? Because honestly, those are some. I thought it was a prank. 'Cause I was like, bro, because I know there's a prank. There's a David Beckham prank where James Corden pranks him, and like they unveil the statue and they're like, it looked absolutely nothing like him. And then when they unveiled those statues today, who are they getting to do these statues? Because that's pretty far off, man.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that Cam Smith. Yeah, I saw both of them actually. And you're right; they don't really look anything like them. So that was weird. But I was wondering. I thought Kronk should be getting a statue if they're going to do, because they were the big three together. So I thought, the two of them getting a statue. I don't know. Don't know if that was right for Kronk anyway.
No, see that's how Melbourne Storm roll, bro. If you
Yeah,
leave
that's
once
true.
you leave the nest, man,
That's true.
you're dead to us.
Yep. Yeah.
So man, 2021, the NRL season is upon us, boys. Boys, we talked about last year. How confident are you about your team this year? I'll start with you, Sam. South Sydney. They just came off that thrashing of the
Hello?
George
Can you hear me?
Dragons on the Charity Shield, but you guys look good.
Boys,
Looks
can you
like
hear me?
Latrell Mitchell's got his head screwed on right, and he's have a really, really good squad. Is this your year or what? Are we going to be hearing Glory Glory South Sydney, or are we? What are the chances this year?
I'm pretty confident. Like, I'm really confident that we can take it all the way. I know we'll definitely make the top 8, top 4, but I think it just comes down to the day of the game. I know we have the team that can go right through to the end and actually win a premiership. I think having Benji Marshall in the squad is a massive bonus for us, even though Tigers saw differently and other teams and other people see differently. But I just think having Bennett there with him, I think that's a really wise decision. Like coming off the bench, if there's an injury during Origins, having that experience in the pocket I reckon it's a massive asset for the Bunnies, especially having um, him to help mentor the younger ones. Because even though Reynolds and Cody are not as young as well, they still look up to Benji as inspiration, and they learn a lot. There was a comment that Damien Cook said that I think he had passed the ball to Benji, and it was something like Benji turned around and said there was three. There was three, and Damien was a little bit confused, like, "Oh, what are you on about?" He said, "There was three shit passes you gave to me. Better pick up your game," sort of attitude, and man, that kind of woke him up. Like, shucks, it doesn't matter who you are. This guy will tell you straight, and I think it helps them as well pick up their game. So um, I'm I'm really confident that our team will go right through. But when it gets to the top four, I think it really comes down to the day.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stace,
I'm interested to see just how they use Benji Marshall, because I saw he was named on the bench in that 14
Mm.
jersey. So if I'm looking at that spine, that South Sydney spine with Latrell Mitchell, Cody Walker, Reynolds, and Cook, that's probably the strongest spine in the comp. So I'm just curious anyway to how they're
Mm.
going to get Benji into the game, because I know with those new rules, the game's going to be a lot faster. There's going to be more fatigue in the game. So someone like Benji with that brain and his ball skills could really capitalize if they use him properly. So that's going to
Mm.
be interesting anyway.
Yeah.
so for you, Sammy, who's the breakout player of the year, and not only that, who's going to be player? When it comes to player of the year, who do you think's going to take it out for you guys?
I'm looking forward to seeing Kolomatangi. Like, I know last year, this time when we met up last year, Danny Bernard was talking about how he was really looking forward to seeing Keon play. And I think not only the game that just happened a couple of weeks ago with the Dragons, but even throughout the season last year, you could just see, um, man, he's powerful for such a small looking guy, but I think he's super strong, and I think he's quite gifted and talented. So I'm looking forward to seeing Kolomatangi um, not only come off strong off the bench, but I think he might kind of, we've got Host and Jai Arrow and Sua. I think those three will be really working extra hard to keep their spot. So, yeah.
Stace, is there anyone in the South Sydney team that you're excited to see as purely as a spectator and someone who loves the NRL?
Yeah. I watched that Charity Shield, and that combination with Cody Walker and Latrell Mitchell, them two together, they've got a really good understanding. It looks like they've developed over the preseason, and he looked a little bit fitter as well. That was one of the criticisms of Latrell Mitchell. So I'm thinking he's going to have a big season. I also think South Sydney are going to be really good, and I think Latrell Mitchell is going to have a big say in how far they go. So he was sort of my pick, sort of a smoky for Dally M, Latrell Mitchell. So he's the
Mm.
guy that I think, and we've seen him at his best. He can kill a team almost by himself. And there were times, even in Origin, when he was playing for the Blues, he gave that Melbourne Storm centre, I can't remember his name now, he gave him a bloody nightmare.
Mm.
So he's
Mm.
if he's interested and he's in the right mindset, like you touched on earlier, Eyes, I think he could be, he could really kick on and be one of the best players in the whole NRL. So that's someone I'm really excited to see, especially if he gets to hold the fullback jersey, which I think he will.
Hey, we've got also Royston back. Royston, we're just talking about South Sydney and guys that we're looking forward to watch in that team as purely as spectators. Is there anyone that stands out for you? Also, I see we've got some communication problems.
His silence means nah, he's South Sydney's guy.
That's more than enough. I think exactly.
Sorry, boys, having
All
technical
good.
difficulties.
Stace, the
Yep.
Warriors. You talked about looking forward to with the coaching change and the majority of the squad, and you've made some really good signings. Real talk.
Mm.
Where are you guys coming this year, and how do you see the new signings turning out for you guys?
Yeah, the Warriors, they've it's a hard team to support. They've underachieved quite a lot. So they've missed the finals 8 of the last 9 years, and they've been perennial underachievers. So I think that the new coach in Nathan Brown is a good move for the Warriors. He's a good guy who can get a team from sort of like 12th to top 8 top 6 that sort of he can make them that move for them. So that's where the Warriors need to get to, is sort of the first phase of their, I don't know, their 5-year plan, if you want to call it that. So I think that he's the right coach at this point. I like the new signing. So we've got Eden Fonua-Blake from Manly, he was one of the best props in the game last year. Ben Murdoch-Masila, who I haven't seen a lot of. He's been over in the Super League, but apparently he's been killing it over there. Ewan Aitken, who's come over from the Dragons, so they needed a bit more experience in some of the outside backs. They've got a lot of young guys there, so I think he's going to add a lot. Suriname as well, who's from the Rabbitohs, and Kane Evans as well, who's come over. So some really good signings. I think they've got a stronger side than we had last year. So I'm really excited. I think that the Warriors will make the top 8. I suppose if I've got a couple of concerns, it's more, we've signed some really big, heavy guys, and these new rules, the game is getting faster and faster. I saw this thing that the Warriors have got the biggest pack in the comp now. So I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing. It'll be interesting to see how the opposition teams try and move their forward pack around. One guy I would really hope plays really good is Wade Egan. He needs to be good. We talked earlier about Cameron Smith and how influential the hookers are because they touch the ball the most from dummy half. But the Warriors, they let Nathaniel Roach go, which I suppose they had to. He just had a horror run of injuries. And Carl Lawton, who was the other hooker in the team, he's got a long-term Achilles injury. So I think he might be out for the whole season, I'm not sure, or a big chunk of the season. So Wade Egan is really the only hooker that they've got going there. I know they've got Tevanga on the bench. He'll probably spend some time there, but he's more of a sort of a lock who can fill in at hooker and more of a makeshift option. So I think if Wade Egan goes good, the rest of the team I'm pretty happy with. I think we've got the forwards. You look at Roger and Ken Mamalo, and the backs are good. The halves I'm happy with as well. If Wade Egan can get everything to go together, I think the Warriors will have a really good year. And I think we're going to make sort of the bottom half of the top 8, I'll say.
I was just looking at your interchange bench, and you've got, from 15 to 17, you've got Masila, Armel, and a 4. That's still like you're talking about size, that's a big bench. You've only got Jazz Tavanga, and you say you get an injury in the back line, that's probably one of the guys that's going to fit in. So how do you see that working out? Is there any other guy from 18 to 22? You've got Adam Pompey, Sean O'Sullivan, Tom Ale, and Josh Curran. Is there any other guys we should be looking out for?
Yeah, I think that's sort of part of the reason why they got Ewan Aitken, because those names you mentioned from 18 to 22, they're really young guys. They've got Paul Turner, who had a game last year, he looked really good, but that's sort of the issue. They've got a whole lot of their guys coming through are sort of like under sort of 22 and under. So I think they've got a really good starting 17, and if they get some injuries, there could be an issue. One thing I do like is they've moved Tohu Harris to lock. So I think he's a bit more mobile, and because he's played as an edge forward a lot, so he can provide a bit more stability in the middle. If the big guys are getting tired, he can help clean up, similar to what Jake Trebojevic does, that type of role. So I think that's what they're going to use to try to combat that and hopefully battle with fatigue. But it'll be interesting to see if these big guys, the signings that they've got, work out for them or not. That's going to sort of decide the fate of the Warriors. If they're getting run off their feet, it could be another long year for us.
Is there anyone we should look out for? Say, you think Dally M position player of the year? Who's your dark horse? Which one of these guys do you think is going to stand out if they, touch wood, no injuries, and just heaps of time on the field?
Yeah, I suppose the obvious one is Ken Momalo. He was one of the best wingers in the competition, and then he just missed a large chunk once they got based in Australia. So I think he's always been fit. He's always taken care of himself. He plays outside Peter Hiku, who, he's had some defensive frailties in the past, but he's really good at setting up his outside back. So Ken Momalo was the top try scorer 1 year playing outside him, and the year before that, David Fusitoa was in that conversation. So they swapped those two rings around. So Peter Hiku's really good at setting up players. So I think that left edge is going to be really good for us. Hiku or Mamalo could be in that conversation for positional awards.
Sam, is there anyone, as a South Sydney supporter, but also a lover of NRL Rugby League or just Rugby League in general, is there anyone you are looking forward to or you hope really does well for the Warriors?
I actually do hope that the Warriors do well this year. I thought with all the new signings that they had, I thought, man, that's massive. You like some powerful runners in there and
Mm.
defensive players, and like having someone like Sirenen from the Bunnies move over to the Warriors. I was really gutted, because man, he did really well, but I think it's just someone we had to let go.
Mm.
But I was happy he ended up coming to the Warriors. Um, I actually hope they all do well. I would love for them to do well so that Roger can leave knowing that he's done his part and was successful in what he was hoping to achieve in the Warriors, and to obviously get that ring. But no, yeah, I just hope they all do well. Like especially the halves, because for many years the halves have always been the struggle with the Warriors,
Mm.
and I just hope they do well and they rip up.
Yep.
Because it'll be nice to see them see. It'd be nice to see and hear the public and commentators say some good things about the Warriors halves.
Sure,
Yeah.
Royston, what about you, bro? What are you looking forward to as a league fan from the Warriors?
I think the Fords are gonna go good. Ben Murdoch Masilla. I think Fanor Blake they're gonna pick the team up and get their team all the way to the try line, and then it'll be up to the flashy backs to finish it. But I think he's gonna try his hardest this year just to get one for the boys. And yeah, I think Roger will probably have one of the best seasons of his career this year before he leaves.
Yeah, I think the Warriors, like, they've relied heavily on Roger, David Fusito and Kim Omalo to get the yards. They didn't have that big meter eating prop. So Roger would run for 200 meters from the kick returns, and then Ken Momalo or David Fusito would take that second hit up, and those two wings were getting about 150 plus meters a game, and that was how they'll generate their forward momentum. But now they've got Funor Blake there, who you've talked about, and Ben Murdoch Masila, and these guys, these genuine go forward guys. Hopefully that relieves some pressure on the back three. So I think that gives us a better all
They'll be more
round
fresh.
game. Hopefully,
Hey, I've got a couple of questions in regards to the Warriors,
Nice,
especially.
nice.
yep.
I'm just wondering, like I love the signings, and I thought they're lucky they got some massive forwards. I think Masila, after the way he just ran right into Burgess over in the Super League, and that was like, welcome back to Super League for that guy. But
Mm.
and then having Fanor Blake, my thoughts are with the game and the new rules and the speeding up of the game. What are your thoughts with the big boys? Like, would they be able to handle the pace? And that's one question. And the second question is someone like Fanor Blake, who's quite man, he's quite sensitive, and he gets quite hype. Like we saw a lot of during the Manly games. How would he
Mm.
be around with a lot of the Island and the Māori brothers and the Warriors? Would he be able to handle it? Would he be able to step up as a leader? Yeah, what do you think his emotions will be like this year, being with the Warriors?
Yeah, I agree. Those are two very good questions because I've thought about that myself. I think moving Tohu Harris to the middle, I think that makes a big difference because he's a lot more mobile. So I think he can be that sort of workhorse middle guy who can help out the bigger guys if they're getting fatigued. And I think that's going to be a lot of his work, a lot of cleanup work, doing that sort of stuff, similar to what Jake Trebojevic does in his career at Manly. I'd like the signing of Adam Fanor Blake as well. You're right, he can be a bit of a firebrand, but the Warriors don't have anyone. They haven't got that forward intimidator. Well, they haven't had for a couple of years someone who can take that role on. So I like the idea of having someone who can do that, and Adam Fanor Blake can do that. Also, what I like about as well is he wanted to come here. He's had off-field issues and all the rest of it in Sydney, and he was desperate to get away from sort of the negative influences he's had in his life. So he wanted to get out of Sydney and come to the Warriors. So I think that augurs well for him. I think he's coming over for the right reasons. A lot of guys have come over here because they don't have any other options, or here because they're getting overpaid and all the rest of it. But he's come over because he wants to, further his career and take his career to that next level. So I'm actually happy for that signing, and I think he's going to go well, away from those negative influences in Sydney. And the guys that we got, you look at some of the forwards, like I talked about Tohu Harris and some of these other guys, they're very professional. So I think that he will. I think he could be a real forward leader for the Warriors, and I think we haven't had that dominant middle forward for a while. So I like him there. But in regards to that's the $1 million question though, is how they're going to handle the speed of the game with their size, because they've got a lot of big guys and they might need someone else to mix it up a bit, which Tohu Harris and maybe Bailey Sirenen or some of these other guys can do.
No, I mean, thanks for that.
Shottles. Well, we're going to go to the Slippery Eels, the number one supporter here in New Zealand. And Royston, your team this year, man. Real talk. How are you? Are you making the top 8, even top 4, even winning it? And what are you excited about from this team?
I think we can make the top 4 again. We've got pretty much the same team as last year, so for a few new additions, I'm excited about Asaya Papali'i. And he's been carving up at training. Apparently, he's one of the fittest forwards, and he looked good in the trials. And they couldn't stop him. He was just making all the meters, and he was tackling everything. I got high praise for that guy. He was he looks like he's gonna be a workhorse. So hopefully the Eels can do a bit better than last year and not go out straight sets. But fingers crossed. Yeah.
So I know the Eels have lost. I know the Eels have lost 3 of the last 4 qualifying finals. So. And they always start the season really good, like you talked about. I listened to you guys last year, so I wonder if they get overtrained in the off season or something, because they start off really good and fade away. So, like I mentioned, they've lost 3 of the last 4 qualifying finals. So, do you think that might be an issue?
Well, I think it's a long season, and injuries come thick and fast. I just think they're just conditioning, maybe they got a lot of little niggling injuries that maybe they need a bit more rest time. I don't know, they might be worked too hard, but hopefully they can work on last year and see where they went wrong. Yeah, but well, it looks good. The trials, they look not bad. Some new up and comers coming in there, so none of these boys are guaranteed a spot. They're all fighting for a position at the moment. Yeah, so I got high hopes this year. So same as I did last year.
What about you? What about you guys? Where do you honestly see Parramatta Eels? Because they've had, for the last 3 years, they've got the nice flash new stadium. They start off hot. Goffinson nearly made. He was the nearly Dalian player of the year. Are they legit, or what do you think the issue is with that team?
Just tell me, I'll let you go first, brother.
I reckon they've learnt from the other years that they've almost made it. I think I reckon Dylan Brown, I reckon he's going to do well this year. Like, I know he's quite young and, finding his feet, but I think he's going to do really well this year, Dylan Brown. I like having Isaiah Papali'i in the Eels, though. I think that changes up a lot, especially for him to come off the bench. He's the guy that was at the Warriors, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember watching him, I'm sure it was him, when he played for Manaba Grammar in the first 15. I think it was the same year as Caleb Clark. And seeing him playing first 15, I thought, man, this guy's awesome. I can't wait to see him, play for the Blues or something. Next thing you know, he's playing league, and shucks, I reckon he's going to do well this year. I'm looking forward to seeing him, and especially after the boxing with Junior Polo, with the weight that he had lost. I'm looking to seeing a more mobile prop forward in Junior Polo this year. And that guy's scary, eh? Like, every time we play, the Bunnies play the Eels, he's the one guy I worry about, because I kind of look at our Burgess brother that's left behind. He's kind of a slow motion guy, whereas Junior Polo is the type that would be eager to run straight into him. So, yeah.
What about you, Stace?
Yeah, every season the Eels are always sort of in that conversation when you talk about who's going to be in that premiership contenders, and I wonder about that because, like I mentioned, they've lost 3 of the last 4 qualifying finals. I wonder about the mental state that they're in, having those losses, and I wonder if their premiership window is closing. So I know they've got rid of guys like Daniel Alvaro and Kane Evans, who's come over to the Warriors. A couple of other guys, some real crucial guys who have been good squad guys and good experienced guys. Brad Takarangi's another guy who's left. George Jennings. So Royston, I actually think the Eels are going to slip down a little bit down the table this year.
You mean slide?
Yeah, slide. I think their premiership window is they missed it. I think if they should have won it once in these last sort of 3 to 4 years, to be fair. Sorry.
Anything else you want to add? Anything else you want to add, Royston, about your team? About the Eels this year?
No. Fingers crossed. Injuries don't come into play, but it looks like they're gonna have a good season. We're still waiting. We're still sweating on Michael Jennings at the moment, so he's still in our top 30 roster. They're still waiting on him to get his second test cleared, so he could still possibly play this year. So yeah, I'm not so sure anymore. I haven't heard anything, which is bad news. So yeah, fingers crossed.
Yeah, one thing I will say, that young 5'8" they got there. I forgot his name. The Māori fellow who the Warriors tried to get him. I thought he was really good last year, and if he plays like that again, he'll kick on for
Dylan Brown. Yeah,
he'll kick on. And maybe I'm not sure if he's eligible for the Kiwis, but he'll go close for that World Cup team. I'll say that.
I think he is. Yeah, he is eligible for the Kiwis.
Nice. Okay, we're gonna do our big bold top 4 predictions. For people out there who are gamblers, who probably will never take any of our tips. But in saying that, I'm gonna go around the table, boys. Who's making top 4 in the NRL? We'll note these down and we'll get back together towards the end of the season and see if we're on the money or we're talking the heaps of eats. I'm going to start with you also, Sam, my fellow Ranui brother. Who's making the top 4? So anyone out there can run straight to the TAB after they finish listening to this and lose $20.
Okay, top 4, no particular order. I'm going with the Rabbitohs. Rabbitohs, the Panthers. I think so. Rabbitohs, Panthers, Storm, and the West Tigers.
Ooh. Oh! Someone's definitely losing $20 out there.
that's $20 down the toilet right there. But I have to have a close look at the Tigers. I haven't thought much of them, but they must. What made you jump on the Tigers?
They've got quite a few new players. They've got 3 from the Rabbitohs, and we were like, our Rabbitohs group were really gutted that we lost these guys, and they're 3 key players. And it's not just them 3, but there's quite a couple of others. They got the old Panthers captain in there, and Maguire. He's been there. He's done that. He's won the premiership, and I think he knows what he's doing. He's got the right forwards and the right backs, and he's got good leaders and a good group of young talent in there. So he's got experience in the forwards and experience in the backs, and a mix with the young ones and a coach who's won a premiership before. I think, I reckon they'll make the top 4.
Nice.
Well,
Tigers.
Yeah, well, looking at the West Tigers team, they've got James Roberts. They signed Joe Ofahengawe. You know,
Mm. Yeah,
they
good
did.
point.
They've got Zane Musgrove. All these guys. And David Nofo-Lima's coming off a Daily M winger season
Yep.
of the year. So actually, I'm might have to apologise for laughing at you like that. 'Cause,
Yeah, after hearing the points, yeah, it's a good point.
yeah, and James Tamo, he's a winner wherever he goes, man. Like he really he changes. I don't know whether it's his experience or how professional he is, And I think going back, one guy, if he can just get it together, man, Joey Leilua, if he can just get that other stuff, he's the Daily centre of the year. You know what I mean? So.
I mean, you got
Yeah,
him and Roberts on two ends, of centres, and
yeah.
Roberts he's picked up his whatever what he lost, and Joey's lost quite a bit of weight, and I think his younger brother Luciano's really picked up his game, and I think having him there in the locks as well is they're pretty. I reckon they're pretty good. They're looking dangerous out there. Nofoaluma just needed a really good centre inside him, and so yeah, he's got a couple there.
Before we
Yeah.
move
What
on from
one
your
thing
top
I
four,
was
oh sorry, you go, Brett.
Oh, yeah, just one thing I want to say just on the Tigers. They did get rid of Benji and all the rest of it. So it's got to be on Luke Brooks's shoulders now. He's been
Yeah,
that guy who's been the next big thing. He was the childhood superstar. But I remember even when he was playing alongside Benji, like he'd drift in and out of games. And he was happy to let Benji call the shots and he'll just stand back. Then he'd come up and be good for sort of 10 minutes and then fade back. But that's not going to work anymore because he's the senior half now and it has to be on him to carry that team forward. So you talk about they got James Tamo, they got Joe Ofahengawe. He'll be playing off good front football on that side, and it's up to him. I think the Tigers will win or die by what he does, basically.
nice. Hey, before we move on for your top four, what's the one team that you think will not make that top eight that people would probably be surprised at?
Well, I'll jump in. I'll just have a little gander. I haven't really had a chance to have a look at the teams, but I know the Sharks made the top eight last year. They didn't beat any other top eight team, so I thought they sort of fluked their way in. I'm not sure if many people have the Sharks in the top eight, but I think they're one a team from last year that's going to fall out of the eight. I think,
Oh, nice.
especially now that Sean Johnson's out injured, he was their most creative player that they had there, and now he's got a long-term injury.
Royston, your top four for the season?
Are we talking top four after
Oh,
regular season or
regular season,
the last
just
four?
Because we know that yours make those
Top four before
fours, but
playoffs.
anyway,
Yeah,
top four.
so you got Eels in one top four, not in the other top four.
Is that why you asked that question?
I'll have to go Parramatta. For obvious reasons, they got the best team. I'm gonna have to go Panthers. They're too strong. I think Panthers with Storm, without Storm's guns in there anymore. No Cam Smith. I think Panthers will be up right up there. So I'll go Eels, Panthers. I'll have to go Roosters. They're always strong. And I might have to go. I haven't really thought about this till now. Maybe. Might have to go. What the hell? I'll go Warriors. I'll go Warriors. I'll chuck Warriors in there.
Good stuff, brother. You saw me give you the wink, and you put my team in there, Jesus.
Rabbitohs will be in the top 8 for sure.
Anyway, guys, we're gonna go around the table and talk about quick predictions for each game. Each game coming up for the first round. We're exactly 24 hours away from the first game of the season. We've got last year's champs, the 2020 champs, Melbourne Storm, going up against the Rabbitohs. I think we all know where Sam's going with this one. But boys, just for the people that are listening that are not going to take any of our tips, who's winning this game? We'll start with you, Royston.
This is run out of credit.
Oh, shit. him and Simon must be on different data deals. Stace?
Oh yeah, I'll jump in.
Stace, and explain why you think that'll be the result.
Yeah, I'll jump in. I did say that I do think the Rabbitohs were going to win the comp. So, but I do think the Storm will win this game. You know, normally there's that premiership hangover, but with COVID there was no international game, so a lot of the contenders normally have to deal with that. And a lot of the premiership champions normally have to deal with a lot of players going in the overseas comp, and then there was no World Club Challenge. So the Storm, for a change, as premiership winners, are well rested, and they've got almost a similar team to what they had that won. So I think the Storm will win this game, but I think the Rabbitohs will be the team to beat overall in the comp.
Nice. Sam, I think we know, but you know how much? By how much?
I'm going to surprise you, but yeah, it's a tough one. Like, I'm still like, my heart's always with the Bunnies, but I'm still like, well, we do have a bit of a funny record against the Storm, and I know they have a lot to play for, especially with Kevin Smith not being there. I'll just follow my heart. Like, I'm just gonna go Bunnies, but I think it's gonna be really close, really close. The 1 point game.
So you're gonna call Golden Point then, or can I go run down to the TAB or log onto my TAB and say Golden Point at full time?
I reckon.
At full time.
No, I don't think it'll be Golden Point, but it's gonna be like 2 points. I reckon a 2 point game.
Nice. Okay. So next game. Oh, well, we know who's going to win this one. The Knights and the Bulldogs on Friday, 8 o'clock our time. I'm going to predict the Bulldogs by 30. Easy. Sammy, who you got on this one? And why?
No, I think I'll go. No, I think Knights. Sorry, mate. I think the Knights have got this one. Yeah. I think, Tyson Frizzell. I think having him in the Knights
forgot
is...
about that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying it's just the one guy, but I think him being in the team to, support Clemmer and the FOOTY brothers, I think he'll do well.
Stace?
Yeah, the Knights on paper, they got a good team. I know they've had a lot of off-field issues, and to me, they look like a team divided. Like there's a divided locker room in there. I think the Bulldogs will win it for that reason. And Kyle Flanagan, watch out for him. He got basically publicly humiliated by the Roosters, so I think he's going to have a good game and a good year. So a player to watch out for, Flanagan there at halfback.
Nice. Broncos Eels, Royston. 10 o'clock tomorrow, boys. Oh, on Friday. It's a given, eh? Hey, Royston?
We've seen him some
losing
credit,
faith in his team.
Mate. I'm sure he's doing it on purpose, saying the ones that he doesn't want to predict. He doesn't want to sound like he's going against his team. So, Sammy,
He
you
just
can
doesn't
follow
want to
that
lose
spot
to the
for him.
Broncos.
That's right.
Yeah, no, I definitely go with the Eels on this one. I reckon the Eels have got this one.
Yeah. Stace?
Yeah, to me, this is probably the easiest game to predict. I think this is probably going to be the
Ouch.
most obvious one in my eyes anyway. I think the Eels will win, and the Broncos, they're in for a rough year. They've got a worse team now than the team that won the wooden spoon last year, so I think they're going to win the wooden spoon again. It's going to be another tough season.
But for these guys, their data deals paid up, and they're not even here to defend their teams, man.
Yeah.
So we might as well run them through the mud anyway. Well, Warriors, Titans, boys. moving along. Sammy?
Wow, this is a really tough one. I'm gonna go Warriors. Warriors will win this one. I think a lot of their players have been together longer than the Titans have, so and I think I reckon Warriors for sure.
Stace?
Yeah. I'm a Warriors guy, so I'm going to jump on my team. I think Funua, Blake, and the front row that we talked about, they'll get good go forward. So the halves should have a good game, Nakurima and Harris Tavita, and I think that's where they're going to win it.